Hello and welcome everyone. I'll be explaining the problem recent Codeforces round Div3 problem number F. Anya loves trees. So the problem statement, I'll show you what the problem is actually. The problem is that you are given a tree, okay? And in this tree, of course, every tree has leaves, right? What are leaves? Leaves are like the absolute bottom nodes of a tree, if you if I give a description about it. So um, and what would I have to do? Okay, each and every leaves of that tree is going to be assigned with some numbers, and my job is to make this tree in a formation such that all of its leaves um, numbers are in an ascending order. Now, I have the option to apply a possible operation in that tree, which is for any node of that tree, I can actually select to, I would say, reverse clockwise direction wise. I can actually switch the childs in that direction. So, for example, for the node number 5, uh, what can I do? If I apply this operation to node number 5, what would happen is, um, okay, they will move reverse clockwise one direction like that. So the resulting tree would look something like this. 1, 5. Now, since I've applied the operation, what's going to happen? This 2, as it's going to move like that, so this 2 is going to come here, and this 3 is going to come here, right? Circular, reverse clockwise direction. So 3 is going to come here, and 2. This is 4. So this is 1 and 2. Now, since I have applied an operation in the node 5, do you see a pattern? Um, each and every leaf of this tree, their values, that the values that they're assigned, they're sorted, isn't it? Yes, it is. They are sorted like 1 and 2, right? This is exactly what I have to do, is that whether it's actually possible to apply that operation any number of times to any nodes that you would like and come up with a tree like that where each and every leaf of those nodes are formatted in such a way that the values that they were assigned are in descending order. uh, and whether it is actually possible to get that formation. The answer is actually yes or no, whether you can actually do this thing or not. So that's the thing. Now, in order to understand, or should I say, come up with a solution before doing that, we have, it is actually a type of problem where you solve the sub-problem and two or more sub-problems, and then you merge those sub-problems to solve the bigger problem. It is a type of problem that can be solved like that. At least I came up with this approach uh, of solving the sub-problems and then merging them. Now let's take a look at what is the sub-problem. Um, so for that reason, I came up with an array like, let's say, this one. Let's imagine that this is the subproblem, one of the possible subproblems, but I think it's better suited to explain you guys exactly what it's all about. So let's imagine that this is my tree. Very small, but it's important to understand how it works. Now, as it's a simple tree, it will be more beneficial because later these simple tree would be part of a subproblem of a bigger tree in the future. So it's important to understand how can we actually derive a solution from here. So to think that let's imagine that we have a small tree and we have to say how it's possible to actually whether it's possible to, get what we want according to the question. Now, what I would say that, okay, we have one node and all of these childs are its leaf, right? We could imagine like that. It would be easy. It's a simple tree, so to understanding would be a little easier here. So in this tree, I have three childs. There are also leaves of the root node 1. And let's take a look at their values. 2, 1, and 3. Now, just imagine, my job would be to try to figure out whether I can apply that um, reverse clockwise direction performance to come up with a formation of 1, 2, 3, whether it's actually possible or not. Now, I know for sure that, okay, 1, 2, 3, if that is the possible answer, then let's take all possible formations of its reverse clockwise direction and compare with the pattern in here, right? Maybe we could do something like that. So how would it look? If we apply 1, if we apply it here, 2, 3, 1, okay? And then apply again, let's see, 3, 1, 2, right? These are all reverse clockwise. And then 1, 2, 3. I think that's pretty much it. Now, can you see any pattern? 2, 1, 3. Is this actually arriving in here? 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2. No, it's not. Which means that this small tree is not possible to arrive in a situation here because you're only allowed to do this reverse clockwise directional pattern, right? But no matter how many times you do in here, you cannot reach here. 1, 2, 3. Because why? Because 1, 2, 3. What are the possible situations from which you can receive or reach 1, 2, 3? 2, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2. Only these two, right? Do you see 2, 1, 3? No. So that's the thing. We need to somehow efficiently try to figure out that this is not possible, no matter how many times I try. Now, I will describe to you how did I implemented this part, but just for the sake of simplicity, understand that we will somehow figure out whether a particular small subtree is a viable tree or not. So this is how I did talk about the similarity of the pattern, but um, if I try to figure out all possible combinations in here and then compare it, the complexity is going to be bigger. So in order to solve this part, I came up with a solution, but I will describe it to you later. For now, just imagine that somehow we did find out that we can find out that for a particular subproblem, we know whether it's going to be possible to do this thing, or whether it's going to be possible to come up with a um, solution, uh, whether it's yes or no. Okay, easy peasy. Now imagine that somehow you figured it out that it's not possible. Uh, so it's no. But let's take a different array and let's say a different tree, I guess. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, what was the value? So 2, 3. Let's say this was the value first. So now you know that, okay, I think if I do just if I do the next term, it's going to be 3, 2, 1, right? If I apply 1 time, 3, 2, 1. Actually 3, 1, 2. 2, 1, 2, and then if I apply again, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, right? There you go. So basically, the more, let's say you somehow find out that yes, it is a possibility. It is a possibility that this is actually a viable, it can be converted to a viable tree with the operation that we're allowed to do, which is the reverse clockwise direction. It is possible, just what I showed before. Now, after that, what would you do if the tree was, in actuality, the tree was so big? This is just a small part, right? But imagine this is just a small part. What would you do? Okay, if it is possible, then yes, it is possible. Now, for this root of this subtree, what would you do is you take an array, or not an array actually, so you take a pair of the minimum value and the maximum value. Now, why is that? Why would I do that? Why would I take the minimum and the maximum value or of the values in the child, out of the values in the child? Because at the end of the day, what we are actually doing between each and every child when we do the comparison, uh, as the tree goes bigger, you will understand it more, I think. Let's take another example. Let's take the previous example, like before. Okay. Let's take this one, the existing one. Up until now, when I was comparing with this child values, I said that you take them as a single value. But what we're going to do is simply, we will take a pair always. Always we will take a pair. It gets easier once the tree gets a little bigger. You know, once the tree gets a little bigger, then comparing those different childs would be much more easier because values can overlap. Now, what do I mean by that? I'll show you in this example. Let's say we start from the bottom and we do a DFS traversal, and we will see, okay, there's only one child, so there's nothing to be worried about. I just have to take 2 and 2. And yeah. And now, the node 5, it has 2 childs, 2 and 3. My job is to do an interesting thing. My job is to figure out whether these 2 different pairs are actually in a way that if I do a the reverse operation somehow, that they will be, it can be actually viable or possible. So mm, actually, you know what? I think let me explain you how I did the subproblem matching part efficiently. Then it would be, I think, a lot more easier to make you guys understand. Yeah. So what were we? Imagine this was the tree, and let's see. Okay. Imagine this was the tree. So what would you do is, um, how do you actually figure it out that if you do the reverse clockwise operation, you get a formation like 1, 2, 3. How is it possible? There's only one way. There's a way to actually figure it out, which is you try to find out the minimum value. Where is it? This is the minimum value, right? Okay, let me just clear that and the previous one. This is the minimum value. And what you would do is you will traverse from this position where the minimum value arises. You will traverse from this position where the minimum value is here, and then what you would do is you'll move like that until you get this one. Okay, so you pick up the mix. Where is the minimum? You traverse from here until you reach that point's previous point. But what will you do while you are traversing? What you will do is you will compare whether the position where you started from, or whether the position that you're right now you are where you are, and you're comparing with its next, whether they don't overlap or not. If they do overlap, if these positions do overlap, you will know that okay, it's not possible. Otherwise, it's possible. So so let's compare. Let's do this. Okay, so 1 1 and 2 2. Do you think there's an overlap? I don't think there is, right? I don't. So it's very much viable, or a possibilities. And then again, we move 2 2 and 3 3. Compare. Yes, there's no overlap. It's bigger. There's no overlap here, and it has to be greater. Not just overlap, but has to be greater, because I'm considering where I'm starting from. It is the smallest, right? It is the smallest part. So the next of these has to be bigger than this pair, and yeah, it has to be bigger. Consequently, it has to be bigger. We move on and compare until we reach this point, the starting points before point, which means in terms of this, what I want to say is that we start from here and we compare until we reach here. That is exactly how we compare. And when I get when I become sure that okay, there's no overlap here, what will I do? I will take the root node. Its minimum value will be the minimum value out of all of its child, which is 1, and the maximum value will be the maximum value out of all of its child, which means in this case it's 3. So what is my provision? What is my like sort of like favor that I'm doing things like that? Because in this way, when I go up, when I move forward, for example, let's take an example. Okay, when I move forward and I have these things, say this was the one, right? 1 and 3. Let's say there's another in here, which was, let's say, 6 and 7, right? You encounter, you found out this is another, and let's say this is another tree. Let's say this is 4 and 5. Now what's going to happen? Just imagine what's going to happen. You're going to do the same thing. This is one subproblem tree, this is one subproblem tree, this is another subproblem tree, and you compare them just like you did before. So this subtree is solvable, and you get this thing from this subtree. You compare it, no, you are comparing for this node, whether this is a viability. Now for this node to become successful, all of its subtree has to be successful, and all of its subtree root node has to be in a formation that you can actually make something ascending and get what you want by applying reverse a clockwise operation. How would you do that? Simply the way I just talked about. We take the minimum. Where's the minimum? Okay, it's in here. We start traversing from here. We compare it with its next, whether it has to be greater than this, right? It has to be greater than this. Okay, I can see that this pair is greater, this is greater than this pair. So definitely, so far we're good to go. But once you move and compare this with this, you know it's not greater. right? You know it's not greater. 4 definitely not greater than 6. So that's a problem. That's a big problem. Um, Sorry, 4 is not even greater than 4 is not greater than 7. So that is a big problem. Meaning that this root node is not possible to achieve what you want to achieve, meaning ultimate leaves cannot be possible to be in an ascending order fashion. Ultimately, what you're doing is manipulating in the leaf, but for the simplicity, I am taking those values to my intermediate child to show you that, okay, these were the leaves that I have been able to sort them. These were the leaves that I have been able to sort them, 6 and 7. These were the leaves that I have been able to sort them, 4 till 5. But actually, when I start comparing from this country to this country, it's not possible. And you will also see that individually, when you try to do that for the leaves, you will see that it's also not possible. So I hope that makes sense. So in this case, this root node is not going to be possible. It's no. So once for any node, if it's no, then the answer is no. Otherwise, for each and every node, it has to be yes. In order to become the full tree to be yes. So in this case, it's not possible. But if the formation was something like that, let's say 4, 5 was here. Let's say um, 4, 5 was here, and 6, 7 was here. There you go. Now it's possible. Yes. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, it's it's actually already in that order. So yeah, for this array, now the next one would be 1, 2, 7. Right? So I hope I did make you understand it. Let me show you the code, even though it's quite messy. Uh, but yeah, that's the code actually. So I'm taking the inputs here, and this is the DFS for traversing. And once I find out that for a simple subtree it's not possible, then the return false. Otherwise, I try to solve again, which is uh, uh, the all of the child of that root node for to calculate the value for value pair for that root node, which is the source, and the color pair. So which means the pairs that I just talked about. And you do the operation here, the same operation that I talked about, that you'll move traversely, get the minimum, get the maximum, right? The thing that I just talked about. Yeah, I hope I made you understand that. It's quite a long video, but I hope I managed to make some sense about the solution of this problem. It looks a bit complicated, but I hope you're going to get the hang of it. Yeah, thank you very much for listening.